This is what you call it formality.
We're here to do a certain thing. We're here to listen to Dave.
That's not fair.
Why don't you put both dogs in the house?
Hey, let's not. I really think the dogs are not important right now. I think Grandpa is, and I think that.
I do too.
Right. Put the dogs in the house.
So when you're ready to roll, Wayne.
Anyway, Tucker would be the one who would bark inside, not Becky. That's a beautiful picture, Wayne. I really like it.
I like it too. Good color.
It's just the rainbow.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
This is all on tape.
Good afternoon. This is August 16th, Saturday, 1980, and we're here for a very special reason. We're here to really celebrate the 85th birthday of our grandfather, father, and sage of the family, Philip Charash. It's almost time for a CBS News retrospective of this man's life. And the only one missing from this group right now is Walter Cronkite and 3 of his grandkids. We're here with his 2 children and 5. We're here with his 2 children and 5 of his 8 grandchildren. And more importantly, we're here with him. And on this videotape, we're here to really look at Philip Charash the man, Philip Charash the grandfather, and Philip Charash Papin.
7.
You can call him Papin too if you'd like. If this tape does survive all of us here and is eventually placed in a time capsule, we hope any of you who are looking at this to realize that this is really a tribute to not only Philip Charash, but to an entire generation, and probably one of the finest of that generation. So without any more discussion, we'll now bring you to Papin, his daughter Pessy and his son Leon, his grandkids, and all the people who love him very much. So take it away, Papin. He'll read you some Shalom Aleichem, tell you some stories about his life, and you can laugh with us. Papin.
Wait a minute, Daddy. Are we going to start reading first, or are we going to talk? Well, first we're going to read a story called Salign. You tell what it means.
Salign. It's a lie. Hier voer dacht ik in Colombia.
I'll translate later.
Van wanneer wees je als in Colombia? Gegeerd hier, had gered met de conductor.
All right. What it is 2 people are in a train, and they're riding, and one of them says to the other, "You're going, it seems to me, to Colomea." He's starting the conversation, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what does he answer?
Van wanneer wees je als in Colombia?
How do you know?
Je gegeerd hier, had gered met de conductor.
I heard you talk to the conductor.
Hier zo'n tak aan Colombia, het zich voegt nog in Colombia.
You are from Colomea, or you're just driving there, going there?
Tak aan Colombia, hoe zeg je? Geloof dat je vrij hebt, zei je, precies doet.
I'm just asking plain. Is it a respectable town?
Zeg, daar stond weer een steek. Een fijn steek, een zeer fijn steek.
It's a town like any town. A good town.
De meeste van Hornbach hebben fijne mensen.
Are there nice people by you there?
Negiden.
What's Negiden?
Rich people.
Rich people?
Vooral allerlei. Vooral Negiden. Vooral kapsoenen. Geweldig meer kapsoenen wie Negiden.
There are a lot of people. Oh, yeah, they're rich people, and they're, of course, more poor than rich.
Echt je te zeggen was bij ons dat veel nu gaat, kunnen nog 1000 kapsoenen.
Same like by us. With us, for one rich people, yeah, thousands of poor.
Bagenkel mij darf zijn aan Nugget Finkelstein. Nugget means also rich man.
You must have a rich man named Finkelstein.
Waarom? Go.
Nothing.
Ken ik hem niet nog. Geert is zo'n Trapshire.
I don't really know him, but I heard.
His first name is Trapshire.
Reb Shai is his first name?
Sure,
yeah, go ahead.
Shai,
Well, nothing. Every time you ask him what about him, he says nothing.
Zoekt mir Fäger sich Taka sagen wir ihm sucht afin.
Is he really as rich as they say he is?
Ich weiß. Sein Geld hab ich nicht gezählt.
I never counted his money.
Wo fragt sich also noch afin?
Why are you asking so much?
Ihr darf das aber wissen wegen Kredit.
You want to know for credit?
Nein, glaubt also.
No, just so.
Sucht mir eine Tochter.
He says that he has, they say, a daughter.
Hat gerade 3 Töchter.
He has, as a matter of fact, 3 daughters.
Wo ist er Schidder?
What, is this because of making a shidduch?
Wie viel hat mir so Gitter Noten auf Tochter? Und das ist da.
How much of a dowry is he giving?
No, du Angst wegen Noten.
No, we're not talking about dowry.
Nicht von der Schiebschmister. Was for Schiebe beim Raschai? Was for Häuser ist es?
We're talking about the kind of house he comes from, what kind of a home, what kind of people, you know.
Was es ein für Häuser? Ein Haus wie ihr
A
Leute.
house like all houses.
Ein jüdisches
A
Schiebe.
Jewish
Ein
house.
feines
A
Schiebe.
fine
Ein
place.
syrische.
Hasidish.
Sehr feines Schiebe. Man sucht da
Very
viele...
nice. They say even,
Aber ist bei ihm... Der letzte noch Sadik.
they say, but it's a lie. It's giving you a clue. They say,
Wo ist es erlegen?
what's a lie?
Wo ist man so eine Zunge erlegen? Kolomea darf ihr wissen, das tut von Dollar liegen.
Whatever they say, it's a lie. Kalamea is a city full of liars.
Aber so will ich da wissen, wo sucht man auf sein Schiebe.
So if that's so, I really want to know, what do they say about his sheep, his home?
Man sucht, dass sie nicht durch das Amur.
Well, they say it's not what it used to be.
Amur fliegen doch den Pesach halten Schmire.
Used to be they would hold Shmira on Pesach, you know, really religious Shmira matzah.
Fliegt vor und zweimal Jahr zum Reben.
He would go twice a year to the rabbi, and
En dan te
now,
schmir durch. Oh, das ist gut.
is that all?
Und dann hat gewollt, dass er schnell aufwaffen, Boer und Peis und essen Gosse.
Well, what else do you want? That he should shave off his beard and his payas and eat pig?
Ach, hier sucht man sucht, aber gemeint, Gott weiß, was man
You
sucht.
say and they say. One would think God knows what they say.
Der Riker doch, ob der Mensch allein ist ein Mensch, versteht ihr noch. Das heißt,
The
ich
important thing
meine,
is the man himself a man.
sich Mensch ist, der hat Bescheid, findest du mir, ob es ein feiner Mensch,
Is he a
ein
fine man?
leidlicher Mensch,
A
das
lot
meine
of
ich.
shit. That's all I mean.
Das ist ein leidlicher Mensch, ein Mensch wie alle Menschen.
It's like all people.
Ein feiner Mensch.
A feiner.
Der Mai soll sagen, ein ganz feiner Mensch. Mich schmiss so viele bei uns, als er ein bisschen...
They say by us that he's a little, but it's a lie.
Wo ist es erlegt?
What's a lie?
Alles, was man sucht, darf jemand sagen.
Everything they say about him is a
Kolomea ist
lie.
ein Stuhl, was
Ooh,
sagt,
Kalamea is such a city.
man lieber reden einer auf
They
den anderen.
love to talk about one another.
Will ich nicht nur so.
So I don't want to say.
Aber du sagst allein, Lucianor, Gossip.
But that's just gossip.
Die Boll, dass ihr wisst, erlegen, ist doch schon euch
But if you
Lucianor.
know that it's a lie, then it's not gossip.
Na ja. Man sucht, dass er selbst halt Dreier.
They say that he's a little of a
Vernegler.
finagler. Dreiserum. A finagler.
A Dreier?
A
Jeder
dreyer?
ist ein Dreier.
Every Jew is a
Ah, ihr
dreyer.
dreht, ihr seid nicht kein Dreier.
You're not a dreyer.
Ach, aber ein Dreier zu ein Dreier ist nicht gleich.
But to compare a dreyer to a dreyer is not right. It's not even. It's not fair.
Ja,
Yeah.
viel sucht man, versteht sich mehr
Viel sucht-
nach Sadek.
Forget it.
Character assassination.
Right as you see the end. Go ahead.
Wo ist der Inkler sucht man auf ihn?
What do they say about him?
Ihr sucht doch ein Sadek.
I tell you, it's a lie.
Will ich da wissen im Leben, was
So I
man sucht?
want to know what the lie is that they
Man
say.
sucht, also es ist schon dreimal gestellt, wenn Banker City Times. No, noch Sadek, ich weiß noch von einmal.
I only know one thing. He went
But it's a
bankrupt.
lie. I only know about one time.
He's killing him with
Yeah,
compliments.
I know. Yeah. This is really worthy of
All right, just let him read. Go ahead.
Und das gut, und dann wird ja gesehen, als solcher soll sich nicht stellen.
Where would you see that a
Als solcher
merchant would not?
als solcher rund so lang, bis er verhandelt sich.
A merchant handles, works, does whatever,
Manipulates.
deals so long until he, well, it's all
Und als
Jewish
solcher
tradition.
stappt er weg, nicht gestellt rede, das ist immer so gestorben vor der Zeit. When he died before bankruptcy, he doesn't go bankruptcy, means he died before his time. Das ist so,
With that.
It's cute.
Go ahead.
alles seisbar gestellt hat. Film sucht man, also er weggestellt, sehr mies er weggestellt. Er Hugel hat ihm am Tag mit der Kästchen, er rückgestellt, der Welt auf Freik.
Tell him what
He
it
packed the money, and he let the creditors wissen for it.
a fig of deer. It's real, a fig is makam.
Yeah. Oh, das ist gut. Ah, was ist für ein Mann? Ein Mann mit der Purz, ein Lichtgetu. Landowner.
I left the Getug yesterday's
Was
night.
für ein Mann mit der Purz? Der Purz dort, ein Quittler. Weiß ich, was kann man neu trachten? Ich weiß es
They
allein.
can think out, they can know strachen, but they
The
will
man
think
died, this landlord died, this rich owner, landowner died, and he ended up with not receivable on the man. They knew never gave anybody any receivables. Als je weet dat ze liggen, men zoekt dat er woont met een poort, zeer rage poort. Dus gewin bij een poort, een ganze Kuschweigener.
What
De
is
Waal,
that? Yeah.
he was very close, very friendly. De Waal der poort gestorben.
The man
Als
died.
poort gestorben, hat er zugesteld auf ihm een poort quittelig. De gewone gewolde stoel. Von wonen hat ze genehmen zu ihm quittelig. At the poor source of sein Leben came nicht hintergeschrieben at people.
What does that mean?
He never borrowed any money, never gave him a note for it.
When he died, they found that he had notes on him, which implied that those notes were never really real.
That's it. Kolomei darf zu wissen, das tut wie Gitarre.
I should with was?
With Gitarre. They
Which watches?
Watch.
Which watches very carefully. Yes.
No, watches.
Ja, maar nu had de God... Nu had de God zich gepakt. Oh, dus segur, jeder hier dat pakken.
He carried a pack on his back. Every Jew had
Je had hem gezegd, nou, je doet een pakkel. Hier had aber God zoekt met 3 pakken.
He had, they say, 3 pack.
Hoe is voor een pakkel had zoekt met God? Met een meel zoekt met een meel. Een flourmill.
Oh, a flour mill.
Oh, zoekt met God zoekt toe. Nou, dus is een gewisse Hoe is het?
That's definitely a lie.
Hoe is de meel opgebrand geworden? Dat men gezoekt heeft iemand het stalling gemaakt, boeren met jaren is.
That means did the mill burn down?
Yeah.
It's arson, right?
Maar de meel ik ben altijd, als je giet ze creëert, kan je zo geen stellen naar gaan naaien. Ja, dan laten we schoon zijn en ze boeien dan niet meer. Waarom wees je als ik ben de mens?
So how do you know this is what happened?
Wees niet, nog bezig staat zo vaak zo ik met zijn.
I don't really know, but you can imagine that that's what happened.
Als ik spießen ben, kan ik nog zeggen, hier kan ik schwer als zeggen. Zeg me niet zo aan hem. Woest nog wat je gaat terug die gaat pakken?
What other kind of peckle did he have?
Yes, yes. Hier zo goed.
I'm not saying anything.
Dat is een glot aan bilbel.
What's a bilbo?
Bilbel is een lie. A bilbel, woest je voor valse geld nog erger.
Worse. Wait, what is that? They're missing
False
it.
geld.
False money? That means what?
Counterfeit money.
Counterfeit money. That's the word. I couldn't think of
Nog
it.
erger. Woest kan zijn nog
Even
erger.
worse. What could be more?
Heertje zou bezoiend zijn.
It's a bezoim.
Kolomeiken nooit
It's a what?
It's a bezoim.
It's a crime. It's a
scandal.
It's a scandal.
To talk about it.
Kolomeiken nooit
Embarrassment.
beste mensen. En efter het
Simple people, they have nothing better to do than to talk.
En efter het glot ben aangesteld, dan zeggen we zo, ken het zoppen geld, je weet niet, dat klein stetel, na nugget, of zo'n, je is een of wat
Small town, a rich man has enemies.
Hoe je te God doen met de dienst?
What, he had something to do with the maid?
Gewoon wees zich, maar
How do you know?
wat als je dat zei?
They told you already. Wait a minute.
Dat zei
Character
toch nog niet.
assassination.
Wait.
Dat zei toch nog niet. Nog een steeds gewoon, dus had hij me soms gekost als geen pro gratis. Het dat gebeeld. Moest kost me nog wat money.
Must have cost them plenty, I
Ja, hier
imagine.
onze mensen bij de verdienen hele woog. Je bent nog niet gezien. Moest iemand gekost de ganze dag.
We should both earn every week what it cost him.
Ja, God is met een klein stetel, ik weer. Oh, ze geeft hem giet, vergint me niet. Push het maar vergint hem niet.
We don't. What is forgiven really?
You don't begrudge him. You don't begrudge him.
They just don't. They begrudge him the little bit that he can have. A small town, a rich man. That's the way they are.
Mega, nu zoekt me nou. Autorap is fijne kinderen, laatste kinderen.
Does he have fine
Je had
children?
me toen dacht ik meer als er
Respectable
wat
children?
3
3 daughters.
2 uitgegeven en een meidel.
2 who are married already, and 1 is a maidel, means
A
a
maid.
spinster, a maid.
Ze is niet meer. Fijne kinderen, zeer fijne kinderen.
Zeer fijne.
Als
Zeer
jij
fijne.
dat zoekt naar vinden, dan zeg ik.
They talk about the older one, but it's not true. They talk about it, but it's
Yeah,
not
they
true.
say it's not true.
Only part of it's true.
Yeah.
It's a good thing this is a long train
Hoe je
ride.
zoekt, maar dan zeg
What?
What do they say about it?
What do they say?
Hier zoek als ik. Ik weet als ik. Ik wil hem wissen hem liggen. Als je het wil luisteren, wel luisteren, niet links. Dus jij nu bij de stetel, wat daar niet plekken, kan 3 tegen met 3 neer.
If
You
we
want to
want
listen
to
to every
know,
lie they tell in a small town about people, it'll take you 3 days and 3 nights.
Af de ältere zoekt men als je geetje met eigen oren.
they say she goes with her own hair.
No
She's not wearing a shidel.
Kan je gaan zoeken zal liggen, waarom ze niet zo gebildet. She's not that educated.
Wait, I'm missing this.
That she's not that educated, meaning she's not that.
She's not smart enough.
No, yeah. What are they? Well,
Not
people who are.
intelligent enough.
Not intelligent enough.
Ja,
No, when you're more educated, you're more released.
Also
What's the
toen
word
wij
I'm
genoeg.
thinking of?
En dat,
Enlightened. Right.
en dat was 2 jaar, had men glot uitgedacht, als het nog meidel was, dan moest ik mij kunnen uitdacht. Hoe is het ook, hoe is het ook gekend uitdacht, dat hier zoeken gaan mij, dat zoekt ze gollen dingen. Van Barreders ze lang gezien, hier weet niet, dan een klein
Talkers
stetel,
and long tongues.
een klein stetel, als een meidel spakiert, hij alleen bij nacht hebben de gos, in de venster met een mond.
If in a small town, when a girl walks at night in the dark with a young man,
can imagine.
there gets to be a big Gadilla about
Hoe
it.
zit dat mee te gaan
So why would a girl go around by night one alone
met dat professor?
with the,
Pharmacist.
with a pharmacist?
Oh, dat is goed.
Is that a what?
Hoe is nog een keer gewoon?
What else
Je zou
do
met
you
die boek aankluiven in de midden, Jan Kipper, Tjernowitz, en wie de kleine had ook naar spitsen.
That you should run away on Yom Kippur the way the youngest did.
The younger one did.
Is keertje. Hoe is vrouw Spitsler dan ook toen de kleinere? Niet gedacht geleden nog erzählen. Bij je gaat van nog geen naar liggen. Je had je erzählt dat zoveel liggens. Dat zegt me nog geen liggen.
I hate to tell lies, but you told so many already. Tell one more.
Hier erzählt niet mijn liggens, Rabbi. Je erzählt Jenems liggens.
I'm not telling my
Je
lies. I'm
versteht
telling
Gott
someone
nicht.
else's
Je
lies.
versteht Gott nicht. Du fragt das, als ich noch stark auf jedem Basinder. Wie ein Prokuror. Je kijkt uit zijn naïef, we zo lieb, uitstoppen, uitforschen, naar huis zien, bij jedem een bleed. En alleen wat je meer als het dan wordt. Je doet niet in de gasten van hem.
Yeah.
Je zult kijken naar onze Russische rieden. De Russische rieden hebben op me zich aan missen teven. Ze hebben liever aankrijgen, jedem en nachts naar aan. De Russische zijn kijkt uit niet geen kleine bereders. Übrigens ist schon nicht, seid mir gesinnt, das alles.
He says you look like a Russian Jew, and those Russian Jews like to creep in. What?
Please forgive me for
Now, how
boring
does it
you.
say it, Daddy? What is the last part? You look to me to be a Russian Jew. He says, at the end of telling all this, he says, you were pulling it out of me. He says, you know, I don't like you. You look to be a Russian Jew, and they like to creep inside your bones.
And don't want to tell any of their stories.
All right, Daddy, we want you could ask it. What do you? Leon suggested we ask what you think of Shalom Aleichem in general.
I think I mentioned it several times. Shomalech was just as time today as he was there.
Can you hear him over there all
You
right?
must remember this was over 100 years ago. But wait, let me tell you when the story was
This
good.
was written over
Oh,
100
my
years
A
God.
totally
You said
different
about him,
culture,
Grandpa.
a
What did you
totally
say?
different world, but it's just as
Barbie.
applicable in today's society.
In 1906,
Yeah,
this
well,
was written in 1906.
74 years ago.
Yeah, I think that first of all, its concept of people.
Sure.
I mean, of
Human nature.
understand human nature is marvelous, and the humor with which it's told. He says, "What do you want? It should, it should be." Oh well, I love it.
And then one must understand the life in Eastern Europe in those days. Again, I'm going back 78 years
Well, that's what we want to know.
to realize what is this about.
I think that the kids would like to know about more, about the life then, so they can understand why this story comes about. And Shalom Aleichem in general.
Again, please forgive me for boring you, but I always enjoy it. I read these stories hundreds of times, and every time I read it, it's new to me again, over and over.
But Phyllis wants to know so that the kids would know what there is that makes you feel that is special about any of the others, or something about Shalom Aleichem, or how he expresses the period at that time that you know so well. I mean, it's apparently it rings a bell
That
for you.
that was way of life in those days.
Well, I guess he just had the gift of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a terrific year.
He was
for,
rare. He was very rare. He's the only one.
Daddy, tell me how you first met Mother.
Yeah, when did you first meet Bryna?
I met Brian in 1912. See what happened. I was brought up in an extremely religious environment. And at the age of 14, I rebelled, and I felt I want to get some school. I didn't have any schooling. And I went to town. I had an uncle of mine, one of the finest men in Woodbury, in this city, the grandma lived. And I went and I was admitted to a business school.
A business school.
Business school.
But what's a business school as opposed to another kind of school?
But they also took, in addition to other items, they took up bookkeeping and
Accounting,
accounting,
things like
whatever.
that.
I lived with an uncle of mine. This uncle of mine was one of the finest men I knew, Tvoisky. They had 4 boys there, and 2 girls, and I was the sixth one, 7th one. And I'll tell you one thing, that most of our friends that came to see us were more anxious to spend time with Uncle than with us. He was youth. He was very young.
How was he your uncle? On which side?
He was my father's brother-in-law. He married
Brother-in-law.
my father. He
Married your father's sister. Yeah. So how'd you meet Mother?
So then I went to the city.
It's
where Mother lived.
lies.
I went to the city where Mother lived. In 1910, I got there.
Woman.
My sister graduated school in 1910. In 1909, rather. My sister was 5 years older. When I arrived in 14, then when I arrived in 12, that was 10. When she got to school, I entered school that day. I live with uncle, and and we had a very happy life there. Very fine, a wonderful family. I love them all. In 1912, we left for the States.
What do you mean you left for the States?
My uncle left for the States.
Oh.
My uncle left for the States.
I know he didn't.
No, my uncle left for the States. So I took an apartment. Some very fine people, dear friends of my uncle.
How old were you then?
Well, I was 70, I was not quite 70. And by the way, they were very, very fine people, but there was only one problem with them. They were a little on the tight side. So when I left the what do you call them, dinner for me, they didn't leave a match to light the gas, whatever it is. Then I met Brian one day.
How did you meet her?
I knew some people that lived next door to Brian's. So I went to see them, and Brian comes out back there and introduced herself to me. And we became very close in 1912. That was sometimes in February.
Was Eva alive yet?
What?
Eva was alive.
Born.
She was a year old.
A year old. Eva was a year
16
old.
years difference in rank.
Did she still have a brother, Grandma? Or was her brother
He
dead
died. He died before that.
before then?
You see, Brian's father left 1905 for the States.
Beryl was in the States since 1905?
1905, yeah.
You wouldn't know from his
most
English.
people, wait. Like most people, most people eventually brought their family over. But when he came here, he spent most of the time running around looking for kosher butter, kosher milk, half of the time.
Yeah.
As a result, but he was not. So he came back home. He came back home in 1911.
Without great wealth.
But Eva was born.
Thank God.
Yeah, he used to be a glazer, Zeta. And what was it that in those days they used to have these theaters where they had dancers?
I'll tell you.
And he went to do the
So,
roof, the glass on the roof,
So
and he looked down and saw the knock
by the way, when we landed here, I must tell you one thing, yes. So so then I met Brian in 1912, but then the First World War started, immediately in 1914. In 1914, and
How old were you then?
He was born in
I was born in
1895.
1895.
He's 19 years old.
I was 19 years old. But what happened? My parents put me in a school, a musical school.
A musical school?
Yeah. I learned how to operate a TV. I learned how to operate a TV. But that gave me an extension. Don't you? So I wasn't left in. Then I finally was left in.
He's out of the army.
Huh?
Kept him out of the army. I don't know why.
Musical school?
Musicians
Do you
were
sing?
important.
Huh?
Do you sing? Can you sing?
No. By then, look, I stayed away from the army until 1915 or so.
Yeah.
1915 was drafted in the army. And as it was where was I sent? I was sent at the same time where Brian lived. Same time. And I landed there.
Spachet. Sure,
Yeah.
it's absolutely
Absolutely.
It's
Spachet.
fun, whatever the story was.
It was,
We
what's
are meant to
Spachet
be.
mean?
We know
what that
Predestined.
means.
Predestined.
We know what that means.
And then I got my training. I was supposed to go out the next morning. I was supposed to leave for the front. And I got typhoid fever. Suddenly get hit with typhoid fever.
You got it.
And you didn't have
I
a
didn't know
son, a
that.
doctor. You didn't have a son, and
So-
you didn't have grandchildren who were
So
doctors.
they
What good?
they wired my parents. My father was extremely religious. And he came the next day. He came with Brian. They
Your
couldn't get.
father and Brian came?
My father came to the city to see me.
Yeah.
I was a week in the hospital already. So when my father, they couldn't get into the building. So when he saw me through the window, he says, I should promise him I'll shave. Then I'll get well.
survive.
But needless to say, he didn't hold me to the promise, and I didn't hold him to anything.
What do you mean you should promise to shave? I don't understand.
First, for a week in the hospital, I was not shaved.
Oh.
I wasn't shaved. I was in bed. I was in bed.
And he was most concerned that you hadn't
Right.
shaved.
religious.
Yeah, if he was religious, I would
So
think
what?
he
You want him not to shave?
I would think
Yeah,
so
why
too.
did he
That
want you to
seems
shave? It doesn't make
inconsistent.
sense.
He didn't want me to shave. He didn't want me to shave.
Oh, you promised that you wouldn't
He
shave?
didn't want me to shave.
Oh, he
To them-
promised you
don't
shouldn't
see-
shave anymore.
Yeah, to them it meant so much. You have no idea what it meant to them. And then look, the next morning, since I couldn't go into the army, since I couldn't go to the front, I remained there, and then I worked as an orderly in the hospitals, and I worked in several hospitals.
You worked in hospitals. You
As
hate
an orderly.
hospitals.
I can't picture it.
I can't picture you working in a
I
hospital.
worked at that.
It was a symbol.
And we have then we get to the point. We got to the point where you couldn't communicate at all. The revolution came in 1917, and Brian was already in Kharkov Institute of Technology, equivalent to MIT.
Right.
Brian was there for 6 months already. And I came in toward the end. Now, was 6 months and the end the revolution started. The revolution started, then everything went upset. And then we remained there, and I worked for the government. First we had a Minister of Jewish Affairs. By the way, the CARICOM plan, the government changed 3 times within 2 months.
Excuse me 1 second, Daddy.
Yeah.
Mother told the story that she left to find you when there was complete anarchy.
I know.
And she had no knowledge as to whether you were alive or not, or how she could find you. How did she come to meet you? How did you get together in that time in the middle of the revolution?
What happened, I'll tell you. After being a couple of days with Moshe Kegel took me with him. We were married.
Wait, sorry, go ahead.
I'll tell you what happened.
Was it Moshe or some other kind of Kegel?
I'll tell you what happened, yeah. No, I'll tell you what happened. When we decided to get married, we walked into the administration, had a number of tables. You walked in with 2 women. You walked in with 1 woman, you got divorced. You walked into your other table, got married. I didn't know which table to go to. So, we walked in with 1 table, and there's 1 man there with big eyebrows, and he was actually one of the old-timers. With the old-timers, I mean, he worked at the same table. So when I mentioned my name, he raised his eyebrows. He says, "In some robe bist du gegangen? You go to the rabbi?" Because the name was very
Revered.
Revered.
Yeah.
What name was this? The Charash?
Charash, yeah. When I mentioned Charash, because my parents, my grandparents were well known in the community.
Very religious.
So I told him I'm going to the rabbi. When I went to the rabbi looked at me and he said he wants $700. 700 rubles.
He wants a what?
700 rubles.
7 what?
Wait, to marry?
To get married.
Yeah.
They were already married civilly, in a civil ceremony, but he wanted a religious ceremony. So he said it's 700
You
rubles.
pay for a religious ceremony?
Yes.
Yeah. So I gave him 700. That's all I had my name. He evidently knew I had 700 rubles. And I was penniless. Penniless, didn't have a penny to buy any food, didn't have the place where to sleep. So a friend of mine, Moshe, tells me, you come with me.
Moshe Kugel.
Moshe Kugel. So he lived with his in-laws.
The wedding night. Listen to this.
He had his in-laws. He had 1 room. So he takes us in the same room. So he said, let's check who's sleeping with him.
This is swinger.
He pulled out Brian. He pulled out Brian.
Can you imagine? So the young
Who's the
people
swinger?
today think they really invented something new. Huh?
He pulled out Brian. Now, then
You were swingers.
Yeah.
In 1990.
So what happened that night?
Well, I'm not going to go into detail. He wants the bare facts. He wants the bare facts. The next morning.
Well, there are stories that are told.
The next morning.
This is a good one.
The next morning we decided I'll go to my hometown and bring a few things with me, a few things that I can bring with me. When I left, the government changed in the meantime. The Bolsheviks came in, and then the counter-revolutions came in. So I was cut off for a while. That's why Mora didn't know what happened to me. You only save at night, you only travel at night. During the day you couldn't travel. So the next day...
Why was that? You could be shot.
Shot, of course.
People see it, they shoot you.
So within 24 hours I came home. Again, I travel at night, and I came home. I said, "Brian, I'm not sleeping. I'm going to sleep in the park."
Why? Sleep in the park?
I wouldn't impose on people. I never in my life want to impose on people.
But you were married.
I'll do anything.
With Moshe Kegel, you didn't want to stay in his place.
But Brian slept with Moshe Kegel?
With him. No, the 2 of them slept in a park rather than with Moshe Kegel.
Oh, I see.
He had a brother called Leon Charash.
I said Luxon, you stole my joke. I said with
And
The other brother was eggplant. We got the whole farmer.
The other one was Kashivanishvili.
Yeah. In the meantime, I have a friend of mine who says he'll get me a job. And those days, for a couple of months, there was still we still had administration. We had a Minister for Jewish Affairs. Pinchas Krasny, by the way, was. Krasny is red. Yeah. Pinchas Krasny was his name. So I took a job there. A friend of mine introduced me. He says, "I'll bring you in there." But he brought me over to the door. He says, "You go in there." I walked in there. I spoke to the people. They engaged me. So all they were doing in those days, keeping records of people
Eddie, when you earned a lot of money, you had this one banquet you bought. Tell us about that banquet you bought.
Oh,
You went out-
no,
you
the
were
no,
carrying
we're not going
the
to
street.
that.
it's
No,
all
it's when he bought the soup.
Okay, all right.
And
never
Oh,
mind.
listen,
All
yeah.
right, never mind. All right, never
fine.
mind. It's a good story.
So listen to this. So I was doing what I was doing every day. They have records of how many people were killed in this and how many people were killed in. So I was doing drafting. I was drafting charts and recording how many people were killed every day.
It's just up his
Then
line.
you find the Bolsheviks. Then the Bolsheviks come in, and I get a job at the Bolsheviks. I got a job in the Ministry of Finance in the bank. And Brian gets a job in the shock brigade of the army.
Shock?
Shock
What's the
brigade.
Shock brigade.
Shock brigade.
I would rather hear
What is
something
that?
else. I want to interrupt because I think we'll go. I want to ask you one thing.
Yeah, go.
I want to hear the famous story of when you were coming to this country, you all left, and Zeta wouldn't go on a wagon because it was a Shabbos. So he walked all night
walked
long
on.
to
He
get
walked on.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where the famous phrase "Beryl v. Bistu" comes from.
Yeah, that's it.
They're all wringing their hands. And what happened? Who went on the
Never heard
boat?
of it before. It's a famous story.
They found land over.
Well, who
I
went?
didn't. What do you mean went?
Who
Family were
went?
coming to the States.
Grandma. Who went?
Grandma, Eva,
Yeah.
Mariam, and Bella.
The whole
The
family.
whole family. I was the only one. We were the only one left. She didn't want to go.
She thought her boyfriend was still alive, right?
And that was not the issue. She didn't get along with
You mean
Mariam.
you didn't go
We
with
were always
Grandma?
told
of course
that
not.
she
Tell
thought
them
her
They
they
went
boyfriend was
alone.
alive.
Oh, all
They
right.
came here. They came here in
Wait a
Mount.
minute. We always thought it was because her lover was in the army and he
That's
was
right.
dead and she didn't know that he was dead.
The whole thing, no.
Oh, that's a better story. The other's
Bella
lies.
was Rezi was a rebel, and she. And then look, they came here in March 22 rather, and we came in January 23.
And I came in August 24.
I wanted to hear the end of this other story.
So when we worked there, and I'll tell you, I worked there, and then I used to also go in there's some forest around there. I used to go and chop some wood and bring to some friends of ours. And actually we starved. For 10 months, we didn't have any food. I used to get a fainting spell, lean against the building for a while and keep going on.
It's great for the weight.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, but we had to make it. And Brian used to get, she used to go, they used to pick her up with a buggy, awesome buggy, pick her up every day, pick her up to about 6 miles to the army unit, the shock brigade unit. They used to send food to the front. So used to pick her up, but every once in a while when they couldn't pick her up, Brian will take off her shoes and walk barefooted to the hospital, to the brigade. Yeah.
How long a walk was
About
it?
3 miles, I think
Why
about
did
3 or
she
4
take her
miles.
To
shoes off?
save
Well,
shoe
really,
leather.
she only had one
Because the
pair.
shoe leather was worth more than your life.
Yeah, right.
And I'll tell you what happened. She used to get sardines. I never forget. She used to get. I remember she got a piece of Arctic soap. You know what Arctic soap is?
Yes.
We couldn't afford. It was too luxury for us to have it. So we had every one of our friends wanted to buy it. We gave it away to some of our friends. But that's what life meant today. So Brian used to get cigarettes. We used to sell the cigarettes in exchange for bread. But we still didn't have enough food. And that's how we went on and on. And one day I read a notice that a Polish woman is given meals, domestic meals, for 5,000 ruble a meal. That was a big investment. So I went, I make the investment. Brian gives me a napkin and plates and what have you and all that stuff. And I go, I'm buying, I'm buying the
Waldorf Astoria.
Waldorf Astoria.
You're buying what? Is this a story?
Investing 5,000 rubles in a meal.
You go to the Waldorf day and get a meal.
Listen to this.
All his money.
I picked it up and I'm so careful that you can understand that. I come to the door, I trip, I fall, I break the pots and all, bring it back and here's that in. This was life. That's why when I read this.
We come by it naturally, right?
Well,
Actually,
And from that time on, Arthur tripped when he
also
bought
dropped
food.
you had to have a sense of humor to live there, didn't you? You needed a sense of humor to survive in
but
such stark
then we
conditions.
decide that Brian's family, Brian goes every once in a while to the family to see them. And I had Rezi, by the way, we had
She went to see which family?
Her parents.
the parents.
This is before they went to the United
No, we had, my sister came to live with me.
I thought you said her family
States. No,
came
he's
to the
going back and
States.
forth. He's going from one story to another.
I'm talking from
They didn't
Russia.
go to the States until 22.
This is in
I'm talking about
1920.
1918,
Going back and
20.
coming again.
He's going
So
back
we had
and back.
Brian lived with me. My sister lived with me, and Raisy lived with me. Brian used to buy, I used to get grain. We had some flour, friends of ours, a flour mill. I used to get down flour. And then Brian used to bake bread. Baked bread means that's what we had to live on for a week. So she had 9 loaves of bread or 8 loaves of bread she baked, and that's what we lived on. And it's like watching your bank account.
Yeah.
So one day I come in, and I was not too bright, you know. So Brian was mixing, and I was putting water in. I said to myself, too bright I was not. If I put a little more water, I'll have more bread.
That was the beginning of your career in the milk business. Even then you knew.
That's how I learned. That's how I learned.
Water the milk.
Even then. See, okay.
That night I come home. By the way, the woman gave us. We were the room was reserved for us. The room was reserved for us. The government reserved the room for us. So the woman took all the furniture that she had in the house in order not to confiscate the furniture. She put all the furniture in our one room that we had. So there was 4 of us in the room, and we had to go like an acrobat between the sofas and whatever to get there. In the meantime, the woman was supposed to give us fire, supply the firewood for bake the bread. So she cut down on it. I come in 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I come home from the office. I come in, Brian comes out, her eyes swollen like this. I said, Brian, she begins to come here, I'll show you. She couldn't talk to me. Brings me in there and shows me. It was flat, naturally. It was like pancakes.
Of course.
The bread collapsed.
I know,
rise.
it rise.
Matzah.
That's because he put the water in it.
She says to me, we'll have to live on the tile. I said, Brian, we'll have to live on the tile. And that's what we did all week. And that became a way of life. Please understand that. And that's why when I read these stories.
What year was that for you?
That was in 1921.
You came here in 23?
I came here in 23.
When did you start the travel?
The bad years
Then
were
we
between 1919 and 23 that you were living like that? It was 4 years or so?
Yeah,
like
no, not 4 years, no. Then we decided to go to the States.
How many years he
How many years was it like that?
you living
Like this, for a year and a half.
And
No,
where was it?
2021.
Where were you living physically? Where was this that you were?
In a large city of, county city, a city of 60,000 population.
Where,
In Russia.
In Russia, in Ukraine, yeah. Then we decided to go to the States.
But one time's bed in 1917.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we decided to go to the
I'd
States.
like to ask you a question. Did you contemplate going to Israel at any point, or you wanted to come here?
At the beginning, we planned in Israel. Brian and I
What
planned
made
to
you
Israel.
decide to come here?
Because Brian and his family were here. And the whole thing.
The family were here
I'm
I'm
already.
always interested in what makes the decision. Some people go
Because
to
the
They were
family were
lucky
here.
too, because along the way they were going to settle in Germany at one point.
Romania.
Romania.
Yeah, Romania.
And other lucky countries like that.
And you know, yeah. And you know
None
what
of us
happened?
would be here.
Grandpa, if I can interrupt you,
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
your family though was well-to-do before this. You weren't
It was all
used
lost
to.
in the revolution.
You were but you weren't used to living.
No, I was
hand
not,
to
no.
mouth.
But you see, in 1919, my father was killed. That was the pre-revolution. That was a free-for-all. My father was killed.
With all the men.
We had some fathers, they were nationalized. We had
Well,
some
tell
fathers.
about how your father was killed, because Arthur doesn't know.
We had a town of about 300 families. 300
Because
families.
this will make the tape rated GP or R at this point. They're going.
No, but I think
We
it
had
should be
300
told.
families in our town.
Truth.
Was it all Jewish?
Jewish families, 300 Jewish families. lived
What's
in
the
town.
name of this town?
Quickly before it runs
No,
out. I don't want to
that's
miss this.
immaterial.
I don't want to
At
miss
any rate-
this.
At any rate, when these people came in, bandits came in one day, we were helpless. We couldn't do things. So I pleaded with my father to leave the house. My father was very religious. He said, no, I started my life, all my life in here, and God will save me. We are not, all of us are not, my father was killed. That's the
But not only your father, or
I mean,
Sonia,
about
Shlomo's father,
about
Mushka's
four-
father.
Was this a pogrom?
pogrom.
It
Yeah.
was a
Well,
pogrom.
tell how many men were killed.
400 heads of families were killed. in
So
that
when
one day.
bandits came to your house.
400
Yeah.
heads
You were in the
of
house then?
families
No, I
were
ran away
killed.
from the house.
He ran away.
I pleaded
400.
with my father to come with me. He didn't.
What about your mother? She was.
My mother was killed later on by the... My mother ran away with us too, but my mother was killed later by the Nazis.
But your father stayed in the house.
He
Yeah,
was
part of the
killed.
village.
So
stayed in the
in the
village.
He stayed in
Yeah,
the
that's
village.
strong believe that
How much warning did you have? How much time did he have to get away?
we had only about an hour warning or so.
You had an hour warning.
But all
I
the
pleaded with him
men
to go
were
with me.
killed
You
at
follow
one
me?
time.
Why
He
did
did.
many of the men stay? Because they were protecting their homes and stuff, or what?
What was that?
Why were many of the men
Why did they
killed?
stay?
Did
is
they-
what,
were
what
many
Jill
of the
is saying.
men protecting
What
their
was
homes?
the
Were
What
many
was the
of them-
reason you
They
felt
were
that they
caught.
stayed?
They were caught. They couldn't escape.
But your father elected to
So
stay
your father
behind.
knew,
father
but he
left.
could have gotten
That's
away.
right.
Why did he decide to do that, do you think?
He had that strong belief.
He
Look,
said God would
that,
take care of him.
that's exactly. I mean, it's a blind
So
faith.
obviously your mother wasn't religious. Your mother didn't believe
My
in
mother
that.
was
He didn't.
religious,
In other words, he
but
really
she
didn't believe he
No.
was. He didn't really believe that harm would
But
come
did
to him.
Sonya's
That's
father, did
exactly.
Shlomo's father get killed
killed,
too?
yeah.
And
Matthew's father-
Matthew?
Matthew's father
Now,
was killed.
you all came back and found
Okay.
your father's dead.
Of course.
Oh,
of
and you
course,
were all
of
about
course we-
19.
Of course we know about it. Well,
You ran away with your friends at that point?
And
or-
family.
And my mother.
Where did you go
mother.
to then?
To the
Where
woods.
the woods.
They knew there was going to be a raid in the village. So
How
they
does he
left.
know?
Did you? There were people. There were raids.
Pogroms.
Yeah.
I don't understand what a pogrom is. I mean, I've
Tell
heard
me-
about
tell
it in
me
the
what a
books,
pogrom
but
is.
tell us
Tell me
what
what
it
it
I
is.
think it's important the kids don't know what a pogrom was.
But in those days was the only one of the people that took it out as our people, and Jewish people.
I don't know if they can hear you, Daddy.
That's
You're
what
not
he's saying.
speaking
I think
clearly.
Go ahead.
No.
Well, we can hear it.
Better speak.
I feel better, Brett, talk, but you can understand how I feel about that.
Yeah, but what happened?
Well, if you don't want to talk about it,
No. There were in those days there were several, must be close to several several hundred thousand people killed in those days.
How many?
From one town to another.
Several hundred
thousand.
thousand. I was telling you before, I used to be in the Ministry of Jewish Affairs, registering on charts. I was putting on every year how many people were killed in this town, how many people were killed. That's all you know, how many people were killed in each town. That's the story.
Who did the
The
killing?
towns were kept.
Who did the killing?
It was a man Petlura. It was a
Ukrainians.
Ukrainians.
Ukrainian.
They
Would it
didn't
just
have
be
maps.
peasants?
Well,
It was just
Yeah, they were
rounded
peasants.
but yeah.
The peasants? Who did the killing?
it wasn't an organized thing.
No, but not all. It was in every town they came in.
Were they
and killed
doing it
people.
so that they could loot, or what was the reason they were doing this?
They did it because
Just
they
for
hated
killing,
Jews.
but that's exactly the story.
Arthur, they were.
What did they use to
encouraged do this
kill?
by
What did
landowners.
they use to kill? Knives? They didn't have
Landowners
guns.
Didn't ride
Sure
no
they
horses.
had
They had
guns.
guns.
But they,
They had what?
My father was burned.
Well, what did they use?
Stabbed them and then they burned them. I feel you can understand how I feel about it.
But you knew, how long was this, how much period of time was this going
centuries,
on for?
Arthur, for
This-
centuries. They had pogroms in 1905.
No,
I mean,
but you see, let me
periodically they
explain
had
that. Let me explain that. When the Russian Revolution came
Cossacks used to
there
do
was
it.
counter-revolution.
So it wasn't, I mean,
Killing
I'm
it.
trying to figure out how your father didn't figure this was going to happen at this point.
I'm telling you that blind faith that God will save. That's the story.
Arthur,
here's the
he was
story.
religious enough to believe that whatever
But I
happened
was
to
a
him
story
was
though.
for the
You must
best.
remember one
That's
thing.
right.
You see what
It's
happened
not
when the-
necessarily that he
when
would
the
be
Russian
saved.
when the Russian Revolution started. Was
you're
one
right.
thing, there was an element that was
think he was
counter-revolutionists.
that dumb.
So the only way counter-revolutionists could do, take it out on the weakest
Joe, it's
element.
my sweater.
You follow me? They took it out weak people, so took innocent people that came into town from one town to another and killed people. That's the story. But
That's a terrible thing to come back and to have to face this. And for the young kids, I mean, your father was how old? In his 40s?
my father was 47.
47.
So listen, Bessie, why did Jews flee Russia from 1900 on? They fled it because every 3 years there were pogroms.
That's
People would
exactly-
sweep down on villages and they'd pluck people out and beat them up and kill some of them.
That's
you know,
exactly-
and it was just it's something you live. It was a way
It's
of
like your
life.
fantasy of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah,
No, but
when
you know-
that's right. But after a while, you got tired of it, and you
the
look for
thing
something
is
better.
that my generation and Leon's, and I still think of myself as a young kid, we knew it since we were kids. I mean, we've always known this was so. But your generation, and it's hard for me to think you're so much older than I was when I already knew all this and took it for
I'm
granted.
very naive.
No, it's not that you're naive at all. It's that we haven't transmitted this to your generation. My generation, who knew it because it was immediate. I mean, they were my
Your parents
experience.
Of course.
I did not transmit it to you.
You saw it in film.
You did. You transmitted it in a different way because you didn't have the
Show 'em what
experience.
you
You
see.
told
You
us
see
about
what
Nazi Germany, and you told I know about the
Well, I don't know you know, but I don't know if he knows.
No, I knew that there were
You see, there's
But
another
Nick
thing that happened.
about that stuff.
They changed in
about
life.
about it in public high school.
Let's
See how it seems when you learn about it in Sunday school.
Phyllis,
your own family.
the way I look at it this way, the change that took place in between two generations, between the first generation and the parents, is so tremendous. There's a terrific gap. That gap we're missing. We haven't got any history. We haven't got a thing. We don't know a thing about it. No, but I'm trying to tell you, the gap between me and Leon is patch is tremendous, because they don't know what happened between what I lived through, what my generation lived through. That's for them. You understand? And history doesn't know enough about it. You hear a lot about this. You hear about Jewish history. You hear about it, but you know, in life, you don't hear about it.
Well, that's why Fiddler really was such a really marvelous thing. By the way, I'm sorry we don't have the time because the story Nachas von Kinder
Fiddler.
is an incredible statement, and it's it spans the generations.
As far as Fiddler's concerned, I'm not happy about it for one more reason. I remember in the beginning they said that leave it to the American people to take a telephone book and make a musical comedy out of it. But when you read when you see in the fiddler, when you dance with those that create the programs, it does make sense.
Yeah.
You follow me? It's not realistic. It's not realistic.
When they
dance
show
with the
the
Russians.
dancing
The
with
dancing-
the
the
Russians.
dancing-
Teddy,
same
his
people
first daughter's gonna get married to the butcher.
Yeah. And
I think
those
it was.
Russians come
They
in and
danced
love.
together in the.
It does make sense.
never
It's not realistic. You follow me? That's something.
Yeah, but nothing. Theater doesn't have to be realistic, Daddy. It does
Also,
stuff for other
the head of the
reasons.
Cossacks comes to him and
Tell
says,
us how you
"It's
got
an
out of
outrage, I'm sorry."
you got caught in jail when you tried to get out of Russia. Tell us about that.
Yes, so what happened then? I was known as one of the best in the what do you call them, in our department.
Still one of the
in the
best.
finance department. No.
So he's no longer one of the.
So then when we decided, because Brian's family were on the way, we decided to join them, and Brian didn't want to be with the family, you can't blame him. I was not happy. I didn't want to be with them. I didn't want to be with them at all. But we decided...
What is it? What is it?
No, look.
You know what thing to do?
family.
So I asked for a transfer. Listen to this. So I asked for a transfer. This is very interesting story. I asked for a transfer to the city on the borderline, you know, so this is there. So
Because you were thinking of
my
just get out.
superior-
You wanted to get out.
My superior wouldn't give me, I couldn't explain what my reason was. My superior wouldn't give it to me. Then he finally went along with me. We transferred there. And I come there, and I come to that little town, and I'm transferred to that finance department again, to that bank there. I walk into a house, and I'm repositioning the room. They give me a room. Walk into the house, I see the house is stripped. The furniture's gone, everything's gone. A man is walking around there. Seemed like a fine man. I want to talk to him. I want to talk about him. But he had very little faith in me because I'm a communist. I came to work as a communist. I came to work in the bank. You follow me?
No, I lost you.
So,
How is a
but I-
communist you working
I
in a
was
bank?
He was working for the communist government. He was a communist like you're a communist, but
And I
whatever it
was
is.
brought into this smaller town, on the border town. And the government gave me a room requisition with this man. And I thought I'd ask to this man and ask his opinion. What I saw was to tell him just exactly what my aims are. My aims are to get across.
Yeah.
But the man had no faith in me. I don't blame the man.
So he thought you were part of the revolution. He was
He thought
afraid
part of the revolution.
to say his real beliefs.
So he wouldn't tell me, he wouldn't. But the irony of it is this, that he left the next morning, but when he found out later, he gave a woman some money, a lot of money, to come and help me out. Well, that was
That's
helpful.
nice.
So we came there, we started work, and a man walks in the morning and interviews me, and turned out to be an alumni of my university.
He wasn't Jewish. He was.
No, he was not. And we became
Why was he interested in helping you when he found out who you were? That you really were trying to leave the
Because they
country?
went to
No,
school
I didn't
together,
tell
they
him.
had
Not this.
friendship.
No, this man. No, I didn't. No, he came. One of the representatives of the UGA, of the Communist Party. Communist Party came to interview me, and he finally is alumni of the university. He's very happy and all that stuff. That night we arranged to go over a smuggler. Not we arranged a smuggler. You don't deal with bankers. We arranged with a smuggler. So we had to travel about 5-6 miles. We travel, and sure enough we get caught. And I get beaten up, and I was brought. Brian and I get brought before the same man that interviewed me in the morning.
Oh, God.
Said you got a great future.
I got a great future.
So he threw you in the pokey.
Yeah.
And wasn't Bryna the only woman in the jail?
Yes.
How many people
There
were
were
in there?
40 people, 2 men. One was the royalty, Russian royalties, and his wife, and I was with Bryna. There were 4 of us, and there was 36 men beside
Did you have to
us.
fight any
And
men off?
36
In
men?
one room, one
My
room.
God.
Did you have to fight any men off?
5 more
I
minutes.
didn't have to, no.
How are we going to end
Okay.
this?
Who wanted it? Go ahead, Daddy.
Wait, I
So
want to know how
I'll
they got
tell
out
you.
of jail.
Then the next day, I began to plead with him. I says, let my people go. Let Bryna go. I said, she wouldn't escape. She wouldn't escape. So
She'll hang around
after
because
a
of
week,
me.
they let Bryna go. Bryna go, and I am in the jail for 2 months. And I became a political football. 2 parts. One wanted to release me, and the other one wanted to keep me. So every day they said,
It's like the hostages.
and
in
I'll tell you,
Iran.
I was anxious to go back to the States. I was go back to the States and face this whole thing.
Me to the
But Bryna
States.
says, please, I meant Russia. You can
Oh, no, I didn't know. All right.
At that rate, that went on and on and on. And twice a week they had a transport going back to Russia. They wanted to put me back. And then finally, one man wanted to, the other one didn't. They finally changed my mind. And then finally, after 2 months, they released me. And I was thrown in jail. I was in prison, and Brian came and released me. They gave Brian the paper to release me. And when I got out there, we decided we finally get across. I had family in Romania. My mother was a Romanian. My mother was the Levitzak, you know, that was the father. So we came to Romania and I immediately took a job.
Mother's side.
I took a job. I didn't want to be with the family, with Brian's family. We took a room. We took a room. We used to be in line. We used to be in line waiting for firewood.
Can I ask why you didn't want to be with Brian's family?
No, we only have another minute.
We don't have time.
We only have another minute.
When we wrap up, when we wrap up,
Wait, we have to wrap it up.
when we wrap it up with you, Alicia's telling us a little bit. You're 85 now. You're here with your kids and grandkids. Why don't you just tell us what it's like being here right now? Because that's probably the best way to wrap up the tape. We're going to jump forward about 40 years in the story.
All I want is being my son, my grandson. That's all I
Russia
want.
was better, huh?
That's all I want. That's all I
And
want.
great-grandchildren.
And grandchildren, yeah. I know. I was going to refer to it. And by the way, I want to make one thing. I hope you didn't. I wasn't misunderstood. When I said I want to be today, not because it's my birthday. I didn't look for it. All I want for me to be with all of you means so much. You have no
Okay,
idea.
next tape is when we have a great-grandchild around.
Okay.
And if
All right.
some people, and I
Thank you
won't
so much.
mention names,
Thank you so
would
much.
shape up, we'd have 2 great-grandchildren.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Kiss everybody. Everybody come here and kiss Grandpa.
All right, everybody kiss
Birthday,
Grandpa.
Grandpa.
I can't
Happy
move.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Mom?
Oh, Wayne, let's kill it. We'll take the cake.
Did you ever have a...
Let's kill it. We'll bring the cake out. Hold it. Let's bring the cake out right here. Phyllis? I know. Okay, Phyllis, let's bring the birthday cake right here.
I wanted so much to be with all. I wanted so much to be with all of you.
Bruce, bring the table.
Hey, give me that.
Oh, hold on.
Joe.
Happy birthday.
Birthday, too.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. You're going to have to sing happy birthday.
Where did Janet go?
Happy birthday.
Where did Janet go?
Wait, where's Janet?
Jan!
We have to just. Wayne, what are you doing? We just went from the birthday cake.
He's gonna.
Janet!
She'll be here in a minute.
Too heavy.
Right.
She'll be here in a
Come
minute.
on, Jan.
Wayne will do it.
Come on, Janet comes in.
Get the whole group.
Okay?
You want to get in here,
Janet, no, let her come in.
Duffy's looking at the camera. Look at
Would you believe him there? Would you believe him? Look at this.
Okay?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Grandpa. Happy birthday to you. And happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bessie.
Throw it out there.
Happy birthday to you. Fantastic.
great.
But I want to eat that cake.
On this cake, we're going out, and each of these
You take
candles
that one
represents
home.
85 years.
You take that cake home.
Okay, now I got to go look for my cake.
This table over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now we got to
And
go.
everybody will have a piece of chocolate birthday. And some lady cake shop are the best.
He's fantastic.
Mrs. Collins.
When you're a sociopath, you can get away with it.
Wayne, you are the greatest. What can I
Yay,
tell you?
Wayne.
Let's hear it for Wayne. Let's bring the chairs back to ground zero. Billy? Bring chairs back to ground zero.
Really?
Round 'em up.